Hey, what's up, you guys? Hope you're all doing well. So, this is week 17. Last time when I recorded a video, it was week 15. I did not record these videos last week, of which was week 16. And the reason why I didn't do that, it was because I was just mentally exhausted and I was genuinely disappointed with the results that I've been having in a few couple of weeks ago. On week 15, I was in drawdown around 2.7%, and then last week 16, I was drawn even deeper into drawdown, and I believe at the end of that week I was around -3%. So at the end of the week, I was just mentally exhausted, and I didn't want to do any of these videos, so that's why I didn't do it. But I didn't just sleep around and sit around and just mop and cry about it. What I actually wanted to focus on last week on the weekend was backtesting, because I genuinely was concerned with why is my strategy not performing well? Why am I just keep getting these losses and losses and losses? So I wanted to know, is it the strategy? Is it me, or is it just the market itself, that the conditions right now, they're not pairing properly with the strategy and the way that I'm actually trading? So last weekend I spent it on backtesting, and I did backtest 2025 from the month of March, April, May, and June. And the reason why I picked those specific months is because that's actually when I started my journey to get funded in 2026. So in 2026, I started in March, April, May, and this is June, and I'm still on phase 1. So that's why I picked those particular months, because I wanted to know, if it was last year, where would I have been trading the same way I'm trading the same currency, trading the same time frame. And the results were actually expected, because I've actually seen this from the 2 years that I spent backtesting this strategy, that by March I was already like averaging 7 to 8% every single month, of which these were the results that I was getting prior to this particular year when I started my journey to get funded. So with the backtesting results, I was able to now enter this week with at least a positive mindset, and I just told myself I'm going to lock in and just trade according to what my strategy requires me, not trying to add new things, not trying to improve anything, but just stick to the trading strategy, because the trading strategy works. It's just that unfortunately the conditions right now, they're not pairing very well. So that's what I did. I'm not gonna go through everything that I did last week, but I'm just gonna focus on where I am this week, what I was able to do this week. And what I was able to do this week was that there were 5 setups presented, and out of those 5 setups I was able to take 4 trades, and I did miss 1 trade. So that in itself also has been an area where I've been improving slowly, because previously I would miss 3-4 trading setups in a week, and I've been able to take that number down now to only 1 or 2 depending on a week. So that is also a positive thing on my end, and the balance has moved in the right direction. I did have I do have a positive closing week in this general week, of which is something very rare. In this past couple of weeks, I've been closing my week with a negative result, and I actually did manage to push my drawdown from -3 to actually closing my week with a 2.6 drawdown. So let's just jump into TradingView and actually see how everything went through. So looking at this whole week at a glance, you can see from Monday all the way to Wednesday pre-New York, we were having this bearish move to the downside, of which it started to reverse during the New York session. And then up to now on Friday, as you can see, we are now heading towards the upside. So starting with the first trade that I actually took on Monday, this was I thought originally was going to be a reversal setup, but it didn't work out right here. So I had to wait and see what would actually happen during the New York session. And when the New York session opened, we had this momentum to the downside, of which for me, this initial break up here was a sweep of liquidity. This break to the down here was a market structure shift. I was actually waiting to take a trade over here to the downside, but as you can see, because we had this move down here, of which for me looked like a sweep of liquidity, and then we had that break over there, of which was a market structure shift, essentially this entire setup was invalidated. And I did actually put a pending order over here before this entire move played out, because I did expect that from here, from this candle, we will retrace and I will be triggered from that point and price will continue to move to the downside. And when I did that, I did put in a pending order because I knew that I had to step away for some time. And when I was away from my screen and then I came back, this move already played out and the candle was actually up here. So I was actually triggered on MT5, on my MT5, and I'll actually put that record over here. So when I came back to my desk, this candle was already right here. So I had to sit back and wait, because now it meant that this was an invalid trade. Because it was an invalid trade, I had to close it with a minimum loss as possible. So when this candle retraced a little bit to the downside, I had to close it. So that's what happened. So because of that, this was an invalid trade. So I had to now wait until the New York session. Now when the New York session came and we had this break to the downside, that meant that for me this was a point of interest. This break to the downside was a break of structure, and because of this area of imbalance, this order block was valid for me to take a trade to continue to the downside, and that's exactly what I did. But unfortunately, as you can see, I had to close it here at 4:45 p.m. for exactly 1.4 hour. So that is how I did that is how I took this trade. It was this was a valid trade. This, if I was here on my chart, I would have closed this trade immediately the moment that I saw this candle push into the downside. So that's why I don't even count this as a trade. But this was a proper trade and I did follow all my rules. And so that was Monday. And then coming in on Tuesday did present me with two tradable opportunities. Unfortunately, I only took one and I did miss the other. Now, when I came here to the market, as you can see, when the London Opens started at 3 a.m., we had this push to the upside, and then immediately we started to see this push momentum to the downside. Now, when I saw this, in my mind and the way that I trade was, we had this sweep of liquidity, and then after that, with this move, I was expecting to see if price would actually come and retrace from that point before it continues to push to the downside. This is what I was actually expecting to see. But as you can see, price didn't come all the way up here. Instead, it continued to push to the downside. Now, I think it was either week 15 or week 14. I think it was probably week 15. There was this same setup of which there was an order block, and then there was another order block above that order block, and I was scared to take a trade. So I didn't take the trade on that particular week, and that was actually a winning trade. So I think last week when the same thing happened again. I had an order block and then there was another order block above it. So I decided to take the trade on that initial order block, and I was actually stopped out. The trade actually retraced into that order block, took me out, and continued to push to the upside. So coming into this week, when I saw this, that's why I got afraid and I did not execute on this trade. Even though I had told myself, I think on week 15, that I will have to take this type of trades, unfortunately I did not. But this was nonetheless a valid trade setup, and it would have given me a proper 3R, of which that would have been a 1.5% on my account. So that was a missed trade. But then I was given another opportunity to enter the market during the New York session, we had this move to the upside, of which it did find some resistance on that order block, of which for me that was a point of interest immediately after I saw this push to the downside, leaving this imbalance and confirming this entire area to be an order block. Actually, this order block was supposed to be here. Yeah, it was supposed to be something like that. Yeah, so that was how the trade was when I took it. But unfortunately, the moment that I got triggered, as you can see, the market literally lost all its momentum and it just began to range until 4:45 when I had to close my trade based on this hard close rule. And when I closed this trade, I did manage to close it and secure 0.26. I did manage to secure that 0.6 R on this particular trade. So that was the second trade on Tuesday, of which I took. And then Wednesday, it also provided me an opportunity to take 2 trades. And now Wednesday, I did take all the trades. Now the first trade came immediately when New York session opened, because I saw this move over here, and then I thought that was a market structure. It was actually a sweep of liquidity. And then after this sweep of liquidity, we had this momentum push to the downside, of which we also had this area of imbalance over here that made me think that this order block was actually a valid order block for me to take a trade for price to continue to push to the downside. Now granted, I did have some reservations because of this particular move here, but I told myself this looks like a valid setup, I'm going to take it, and I took it. But unfortunately, as you can see, the moment New York opened, price reversed and continued to push all the way to the upside, and it actually stopped me out for a negative 1 R, of which for me that is a 0.5% loss. But after that, during the New York session, as market continued to progress, we actually had this opportunity over here, of which for me this was a break of structure. So when it stopped me out, we had this push to the downside, and then price pushed all the way to the upside again, breaking this structure over here, leaving again this imbalance, of which for me it told me that this order block was valid. Now my first signal was that this here is the middle of a candle is actually a point of interest for me. So when price came all the way to that candle and then found resistance there and broke to the upside, so that was my first criteria, point of interest. And then I had this breakout structure, I had that imbalance that gave validity to that order block. So all the things that I needed to see, the criteria that I needed to see to take this trade as a continuation trade were here, and I actually took this trade. But as you can see, price pushed to the upside and then it started ranging again until 4:45. So at 4:45 I had to close this trade, and I closed it for a 0.8%, a 0.8 R gain on this particular trade. So yeah, these were the only trades that I took this particular week. On Thursday there was no opportunity presented in the way that I'm trading, so there was nothing to take on Thursday, and I usually don't trade on Friday. Today is actually Friday itself as I'm recording this video. So yeah, 5 trading setups presented. I took 4 of them and I did miss 1. So yeah, this week, like I said earlier, 4 trades were taken, and on those 4 trades that I was actually taking, the score that I got was actually 24 out of 24, because for me all the criterias were met after 3 a.m. New York time. I did that on all 4 trades, and that order block was paired with an imbalance, which is the second criteria for my entry. That was true for the 4 trades that I took out of 4, so that was another pass. Correct session entry each time, that was true on 4 trades that I took out of 4, so that was another pass. And then also stop loss was placed correctly on every trade. That was true on both 4 trades out of 4, so that was another pass. and held to 3R or managed with a plan. That was true on all 4 trades out of 4, so that was another pass. And also the final one, which is every open position was closed by 4:45 p.m. New York time. That was true on all trades, 4 out of 4. That is another pass for the trades that I actually took. So the missed trade actually on Tuesday doesn't appear on the scorecard, but it does belong on this review, and that's why I am highlighting it, and I still continue to talk about it. And the reason why I'm doing that specifically, even though it's just a single trade, it's because, like I said even on the first video, the reason why I'm doing this recording is because for me particularly, I am looking, like, I want 5 years later to go back and see how much I have progressed. That I was at point A, and right now 5 years in, I'm on point C, Z, wherever I am. So I want to see that progression. Initially when I started, I had a lot of missed trades, especially on the month of March, which was my first month. But right now, and on this particular week, I've managed to reduce those missed trades slowly up to this point right now where I'm only having a single missed trade in the entire week. That is the progress that I want to see, and that is the reason why I'm highlighting these things again and again for myself, so I can also learn and also improve on those things I need to improve on. So a valid setup that did meet actually all my criteria, it did go untaken. I didn't take it. And the reason why I didn't take this trade, again, it was because of the fear based on what happened previous week, which is also something that I still need to work on, because each day is its own day. It presents its own opportunities, and that is how I need to approach my day. So in terms of the score, on the trades that I took, I got 24 out of 24, no exceptions, no excuses. So this is how my dashboard actually looks like currently. As you can see, I'm closing this week with a balance of $9,744.50. Yeah, these are the trades that I took this week. I'm closing this week with a 62.94 cents. When you scroll down here, as you can see, these are the trades that were taken this week from the 22nd of June. This was the first trade that I did highlight it before, and I'll highlight here again the trade that I took by mistake because I was away from my desk. As you can see here, it reads as a negative $1.92. That is because of the commissions here. That is why it shows I've closed it on a negative. But other than that, these are the 4 trades that I actually took because they were the right trades to take, the 4 trades. This was the first one on Monday, and yeah, this was on Tuesday, and these were the 2 trades that I took on Wednesday. So overall, yes, the account is still on a negative, but we are now on 0.26% instead of 3. There's still a long way to go to take this account back to break even, and then hopefully going back to actually hit that 8% that is required to pass this phase. So this week 16 actually gave me something that I haven't had so much in this challenge yet, of which the process score and the P&L both went in the right direction at the same time. But actually for me this week, the lesson isn't about that. It's not about the win. The actual lesson for me came on the Tuesday morning. I did have a valid setup. My rules said to take it, but the memories that I had of the previous trade, because it was a loss, I couldn't take it. And I did listen to my emotions on this trade instead of actually just following my strategy. And that is the thing right there. It's about when you're trying to condition yourself to follow the rule-based process, it only works if you follow it every single time, not just when it feels comfortable. A strategy that you selectively apply based on how you feel about the last trade isn't a strategy, it's just a mood. The score this week was perfect on the trades that I actually took, but I left a valid setup on the table and that is worth more of my attention than the 24 out of 24 score that I actually got. And the reason behind that is because it is the crack in the process that I still need to fix before it actually costs me something bigger. There's a quote by James Clear that he actually says that you don't rise to the level of your goals, but you actually fall to the level of your system. So the system worked this week. The one moment that it didn't was the moment that I actually did stop trusting it. And like I always say at the end of the video, it is process over emotions every single time. So to end this week's video, like I said earlier, the goal is to continue to remove these mistrade as much as possible, because they do affect how my strategy actually performs overall. I am seeing progress in that area in terms of how much I am missing the trades during the week. It has gotten smaller in terms of the number of missed trade. That is good overall. Yeah, I think that's it for this week. I will continue to do my best in terms of my trading and also posting content. But yeah, until next time, process over emotions every time. See you next week.